Brett, let's get this thing started. Thursday, November 7th. Welcome to the awesomeo.com NBA strategy show, where we talk about how little we had John Isaac on his near 5x5 last night. I am Josh Engelman. I am joined by Adam Scher. What's going on, man?
How's it going? Another disappointing day for me overall yesterday, but on to the next one.
Yeah, it's weird. All the names at the top look familiar. Giannis, Harden, Harrell, Lou Will, Capella, Embiid, Drummond. Those are the guys that I expect to smash. I didn't have near enough of them.
Yeah, I just didn't get stuff in the right lineups. I had, a ton of Westbrook at 9,400 against Golden State, kill my night. Towns didn't do a whole lot to help.
No. I watched the first half of that Rockets-Warriors game. It wasn't really like a fun experience for me knowing how much Westbrook I had.
Yeah, and then he kind of started to get it going, and it was like, okay, hopefully they leave him in to chase his triple-double. And like as soon as I messaged those words to someone, he rolled his ankle on a drive and just walked straight to the bench.
Yeah. That game just gross, too. Golden State is just gross. It's horrid. I don't know what to do with these dudes. Had so much Kai Bowman. He was awful. Just not involved at all. Terrible. But what are you going to do? That's yesterday. Highest exposed guy on DraftKings yesterday in the big jam by a mile. Karl Anthony Towns at 10K. You came in slightly north of the field, 65%. Alex said, hold my beer. Went for the full 90, which is a big time number. I don't have any issue with it. I mean, he hung a 50 burger. That's like reasonable. You would have expected more, honestly, out of Karl Anthony Towns without Teague, but no dice. No dice. Any thoughts on Towns from yesterday? Just generically speaking.
No.
I mean, I didn't expect any either, so don't feel
okay.
bad. Lou Will, 58.5. Alex had like 55%. You were essentially with the field. Hard dude to not like at 6,500 when Kawhi is not there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. 35% usage without Kawhi.
Most interesting piece here. We'll talk about Aaron Holiday. What were your thoughts on Holiday when the news broke that he was starting?
I wasn't entirely sure what to do because obviously there were still ways those minutes could go. But the fact that he had been the direct backup to Jeremy Lamb in the prior game and then was getting the start made me think that he had an easier path to minutes than Justin Holiday did. And while you do lose production opportunities by playing with the starters, he's just a more productive player than Justin Holiday.
Yeah.
I was talking to EMAC last night, and like I was trying to find ways that I could project Justin Holiday to be good, like off the bench even. And I'm going through like, okay, he was on the Bulls when nobody was there. Okay, he had a 14% usage rate. Same with Memphis, same with the Pacers, no matter who's on the floor. So it's just like I can't do anything with him. Whereas I know Aaron Holiday at least will shoot and is capable of actually being a good fantasy producer on a per minute basis. Plus, he was a little bit cheaper, so I ended up just going with a lot of Aaron.
Okay. You know who didn't go with a lot of Aaron Holiday?
Who's that?
That would be the one, Alex Baker. He had 0.
Donkey.
0. 26% owned in the contest. He was not at all necessary. Went for 23.5, 7.6x value. That's like the low end of exactly what you're looking for, basically. I mean, honestly, you're probably looking for even more than that. Probably looking to get to like 30 total. So, yeah, Alex, full fade.
Yeah, I wasn't real thrilled with how much of him I got, but then looking back at so the big reason I have so much Aaron Holiday is that we got this stupid Minnesota news that Shabazz Napier was going from doubtful to warming up.
Ugh.
And I was like, what would be the biggest edge possible on this slate is if you got a bunch of $4,200 Shabazz Napier at no ownership.
Yep.
So I went ahead, and I was only playing DraftKings, but I went ahead and projected him in. And so that cut back my Jarrett Culver. Aaron Holiday locked at 7. Napier ruled out. So I think that if I had set my lineups just without any Napier news, like I probably would have had much less Holiday and a ton more Culver.
Okay. Yeah, that was not fun news to see. I mean, for me, it was just like, I can't, predominantly being on FanDuel, it makes no difference to me what he's doing. I'm just not, I can't move forward like that. One other interesting piece. Luka Doncic was 24% owned in this contest, and both you and Alex were at single digits.
Yeah, that was shocking to me when I saw his ownership. I think I'd even mentioned on the deeper dive with Lofty that I liked Luka as far as Luka's phenomenal, but like the match, it was a slow matchup. It was a tough matchup. He wasn't really cheap. And yeah, to see how highly owned Luka was really surprising to me.
I don't get it, and obviously, I'm like the number one, like the president of the fan club. You're probably like the treasurer or something.
Yeah.
Like against Orlando is just rough. Like that's not a great spot. They are really good defensively, and he's priced like for the most part, like he should. He's priced like he should be relative to everybody else. Like he's cheap
Exactly.
when you look at it, but so is everybody else.
Right. Like when you talk about players like Luka in tough matchups, the argument is they're Luka. They still have monster ceilings. Tough matchups don't lower your ceiling; they lower your probability of getting there.
Yeah.
That is less attractive, obviously, when they're popular. But it's not like he was just so much more. He's more expensive than like Trae Young. You can make the same argument about.
Half
He was
the
a lot
ownership
more
is Trae
expensive.
Young at half the ownership, $700 cheaper too.
Right. Where was Bradley Beal's ownership? Because he was 1,200 less.
Oh my god. 3.8.
Right. Yeah. So it made no sense to me.
No, not at all. Sorry, Luka. Apologies to you and all, man. I don't like talking like that. I mean, Adam told me to, so I don't get it. And then we finally got the Markieff Morris I have a pulse game. Had to happen eventually. Yeah. He's been absolutely dreadful, but surprise, surprise, playing the Knicks makes you better.
Well, and the big takeaway for me with Morris, and it's, I think, important to kind of when you are, it's really easy to be results oriented. So when you are looking at how players did, pay attention to how they did it and whether or not you were correct in the way you projected them. Yeah. And Keith had a monster game. He still didn't rebound. He still didn't get assists. He just made tons of shots. And so even though, and I think I was around the field on Keith. I'm not sure.
You were 10% over, actually. He was 21% owned in this contest. You had 31, and the boss man had 42.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not like, I was fading him, but there's nothing that changed there. Yeah. That's what happens when Markieff Morris makes all of his shots. When he misses all of his shots or gets in foul trouble, you see the prior game where he gets 5.
Yep. That's a really good point. Oh, I guess it's probably just easier to make shots against the Knicks too.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. That's not it's kind of a real thing, but it's not really a real thing.
Yeah, so they haven't been that bad.
No.
I just think that's like a really good example to highlight the takeaway where like if Morris went out there and grabbed 13 rebounds, you should probably be digging in to see if anything actually changed as far as like what he's doing on the floor. But if he just posts a monster game doing exactly what he's been doing all season long, you don't actually have to change anything.
I just want Blake to get back so like he's just not in play.
I don't, because I love Drummond.
Yeah, that's fair. I just feel like Drummond is perpetually on the same slate of him plus 2 of the other stud centers. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he'll be essentially unplayable for like the first week.
Oh yeah, because that price won't come down fast enough.
No, not at all. Highest value guy yesterday. Any guesses?
Alec Burks.
9% owned in the big jam. You had 13. The clairvoyant boss of Awesemo.com, 45. Whew. Also had 42% Markieff Morris, 84% Jarrett Culver. These are 3 guys that all 10x'd or more. Kudos, boss. Kudos.
Someone just in the middle of the slate tweeted at me and Sal, who I don't think did an NBA show yesterday.
He did with me.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then. But tweets at me and Sal complaining about how the Golden State value is all sucking like he thought they would, but somehow he got talked into them. At this point, Burks had, I think, 40 points in the third quarter. I personally wasn't super high on them. Like I was overweight, but I didn't have tons. But going back and looking now, 47 from Burks, 32 from Robinson, 25 from Lee.
Spellman went for 30.
Yeah, Pascal went for 30.
The real problem is that Guy Bowman went for 15. Eric Pascal, well, still got the 31, but he's 6,500 now, so that's still not great.
Well, that's not really a problem when you have 0% Bowman and 1% Pascal.
Yeah. I had a lot more of Kai Bowman, particularly on Yahoo. I think he was like $13 or something.
The only two Golden State guys, I was overweight on Burks, Robinson, and then a little bit overweight on Poole.
I had a lot of Glenn Robinson as well yesterday,
Yeah.
which was not going well through the first half at all. I knew that he would salvage because the good news is they don't have any other options. These guys just have to keep playing. So even
Bowman got hurt at one point too.
Even if it's going bad, like they're inevitably going to have to play 240 total minutes somehow.
Right.
At the minimum. This is a real testament of it's really hard to pick what's best from a team where essentially everybody is the 12th man on the team.
Right.
Real tough sell. But shout out to Alec Burks. Shout out to the boss man for having 45% of Burks. Take a look at the top lineup yesterday. Actually won by a guy putting in 150. Lots of 150 guys at the top. Dexter bringing down 100K. Pat Bev, Lou Will, Giannis, Harrell, Joval, Josh Richardson, who finally woke up a little bit, Keefe, and Clint Capella.
Joval, I think, played 30 minutes too?
That I did not see, but if he did, that's really just not a good Joval game. Went for 33 and a half. Like, if you told me that he got 30 minutes, I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
I would have just assumed he had 60 because he kept playing. And he's the type of guy where, like, when he's getting additional minutes, you could probably assume that it has been going very well for him.
Yeah.
Guess not. 5% owned, too. Yeah, the biggest, contrarian plays for him. Clint Capella at 4%, Joval at 5%, Pat Bev at 6%.
Nice 6-block game for Capella.
Did you end up seeing John Isaac's line last night?
No.
Just missed a 5x5, and it would have been like a pretty gnarly 5x5. I'm pulling it up right now. I want to make sure I get it all correct. Isaac had 13 points, 10 boards, 5 assists. Thanks to Cleaning the Glasses box score, they don't show blocks and steals in they only showed in rates. So let me grab this again from a different place. Off to ESPN we go. All right, here we go. 13, 10 boards, 5 assists, 4 steals, 6 blocks.
That is an insane line.
Yeah, 10 stocks yesterday. All he did was miss it by a steal. Like, I mean, he essentially had a 5x5. He got there with the total of 5 and 5 for steals and blocks, but he just happened to have one additional block. Can't we just say that he stole the ball out of the air? 5 and 5, he gets it? No.
Right.
I say it counts. If you have more than or 10 or more, I think that should just count for steals and blocks, but that's just a crazy line. Totally nuts. Anything else you want to touch on from yesterday's slate?
I don't think so.
Yeah. It was not fun. One of those days. Giannis going. Do you know what Giannis is putting up on a point per possession basis or a point per minute basis, at least on FanDuel?
Like 1.7?
1.93.
I had him projected for 1.9 yesterday, and I left it, but I was just like, that seems a little high.
258 minutes played, 497 FanDuel points, 1.93. Next closest guy is Towns at 1.77. Unless you count all of the boners that have played 3 minutes.
So I had a good amount of Bruce Brown yesterday, and he disappointed a bit. Didn't close, which was annoying, but I just went back and looked, and again, 10 potential assists in that game. So
good
still
enough.
really involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Giannis, Towns, Kawhi, Embiid, top 4 point per minute guys right now. And that kind of takes a pretty big jump down to LeBron. Wild. First name that gets kind of weird for anybody that's played more than 1 or 2 minutes. Gorgeous Dong at 1.52. Alrighty. Plug time, guys. Shout out to Yahoo Sports for being the presenting sponsor of this show. If you want to learn a little bit more about what Awesemo has to offer in terms of Yahoo content, you should check out Emacs Cash Game article. He hits on all the sites, but we've got some information at the top of the article. So you can get started playing at Yahoo. Click the link in the article. Use the promo code Awesemo. You can get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. They're running contests that have no management fee. They're running contests all the way from 10 maxes to the 150 max. They now have CSV edit features, which very nice to use. Yesterday, it was my first night back on Yahoo. Didn't go well for me, but I'll take what I can get. Just go check them out. They run the Baller contest. That's like the name of their main contest for any sport. So for the NFL this week, it's going to be the 250K Baller. For the NBA tonight, the 25K Baller, 5K to first, $10 entry fee. Go check them out. Yahoo Sports. Can't beat it. Great sponsor. And then if you want to sign up at our website, awesemo.com, go to awesemo.com/join. Use the promo code NBA Strategy. You can get 50% off your first month. Any monthly package you choose. We're covering all sorts of sports, NFL, NBA, NHL. Ben's writing some college basketball articles. We've got golf, MMA, NASCAR, soccer. We're covering it all, guys. Come check us out now. Use the promo code NBA Strategy when signing up for that 50% off. Well, let's dive into it. We've got 4 games. None of them are really all that appealing. But DFS, we're playing one way or the other. So NBA ownership just came out literally as I looked, so let me grab that and then we can get started. I'm very anxious to see who the most chalky player is because I don't think that anything stands out as obvious. Kawhi back in, so all the people that were whining yesterday, stop whining until the next time he sits out.
Just talking about Mark Jackson there or other people?
Was Mark Jackson whining about it?
Oh my God, Mark Jackson went on like 3 separate tangents during that game about how no disrespect to Kawhi, but like I'm just not wired that way, and most winners aren't.
Yeah, most winners. Well, he should probably return all those fucking trophies he has.
Right.
For winning and doing the exact same thing last year and dragging a team to a championship. What a terrible winner.
I did love did you see the Giannis interview about it?
No.
They asked Giannis about like load management, and he was just like, I don't know exactly what he said, but it was along the lines of like, coach knows that I'm going to come out here every game and play hard, and he knows better than to try and tell me I'm not playing.
That's a terrible strategy. That's not going to help you in the long run.
Yeah.
This is really all there is. The answer is so obvious for this kind of stuff. I don't really understand why people ignore it, other than the fact that I completely understand why everybody ignores it. The season's too long. They're skipping games because they're not important. That's what's happening here. If it was a 20-game season, there'd be no load management. There's 82, and they're playing for the championship. So there's no value.
If you tell me that every Kawhi level player sits out, 10-15% of the games, I'm fine. But like I still prefer there be more games.
Sure.
Because I enjoy it, and obviously it makes for more DFS slates. But like that's a trade-off I'm willing to make. Like I would rather have 82 games and Kawhi sitting 10 of them than 20 games.
Right. And I want him to be able to play in the most important games of the season. So
right.
You do less until you get to those games. He's not going to get load management out of the second round. He's not going to be like, I can't make this game 2. No, you
right.
play the games that are important. They have realized now that a regular season game is not as important as people think it is. That's it. That's all that's all it is. If Kawhi Leonard had to play tomorrow because their season was on the line, or yesterday, in the damn lineup. Like it's not confusing. Craziness. Alrighty. I'm off my soapbox. Charlotte Hornets. Boston Celtics. Maybe I need a load management day tomorrow. Gotta tell Tom I can't do
start
back-to-backs.
taking those every Tuesday and Thursday.
I don't want to make the show worse.
I had to think about what day I do these shows now. I still wake up because I'm so used to having to monitor myself on Sundays so that I'm not dead for the show in the morning. And so now I still like wake up. I'm like, oh, I don't have the show in the morning. I wake up on Monday like, shit, I have a show in 10 minutes. And it's like, nope.
You're all good, man. We had to plan accordingly for your weekend drinking. Charlotte Hornets, Boston Celtics. Hold on, let's spin this bad boy around. Welcome back to Charlotte, Kemba. Hornets 105.5 implied total. Celtics 112. Not great for the old Hornets. Let's start. Let's close that a little bit. Now that everybody can see what's on my screen. Perfect. We'll start on the Charlotte side. A lot of ownership coming into this game. Now, obviously, 4-game slate. Some of these people are going to be getting ownership just because there's not a lot of people. Terry Rozier and Miles Bridges are the two most owned guys across FanDuel and DK, both in the 30s. You're getting Cody Zeller at 31 on DraftKings, PJ Washington at 24 on FanDuel, 19 on DK. Who stands out most to you from the Hornets?
I mean, so the Hornets are really tough right now just because of the way their rotations have gone. Cody Zeller now 2 straight games has not played a lot. He played like 20 minutes against Golden State. He played 17 minutes against Indiana. Goga played 32 minutes in that game. So it's a little concerning to me that Zeller just wasn't on the floor. He's been really productive when he plays. The salary's cheap, but whenever someone's minutes are fluctuating like that, I would rather just do the opposite of whatever the ownership's doing. So, I think that he is a fine play, but it just really scares me at that ownership. Miles Bridges' salary is really cheap. He plays minutes. I don't really love him as a DFS player. But I think that I would feel better about Bridges, and I feel a little bit better about Rozier than I do Zeller, just based on how their rotations have gone recently.
Yeah, I have Bridges and Rozier ahead of Zeller in this spot. Bridges being the guy that I think is the best point per dollar play across the Hornets. Nobody standing out as like any sort of must. Bridges gets there in a way because of position. He's a small forward on FanDuel, so I'm going to end up having like 1,000,000% of him because there are only so many guys to get, and I don't really want to try to sift through the Hazonia, Rodney Hood, Kent Bazemore trio at the bottom. Shout out to
I can already tell you which Hornet's going to wreck my night.
Rodney Hood.
Not on the Hornets.
Oh, you mean from the Hornets? Sorry, I read off 3 Blazers names there, and you were like, I could tell which one it is. I picked a Blazer, and you were like, you looked at me like I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing. Who is going to wreck your night?
Dwayne Bacon again.
Okay. Well, then tell me why.
So it's nothing. It's the same thing as I said with Zeller. We've seen Bacon's minutes all over the place. A couple of the games where he didn't play a lot of minutes was foul trouble. Against Indiana, he played 13 minutes, picked up 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes, did literally nothing the rest of the game, finished with negative points. And you had Cody Martin play 33 and a half minutes off the bench. I have no idea how many minutes Dwayne Bacon's going to play tonight, but as of right now, there's not much value on this slate. We have him projected for 7% ownership on DraftKings. He's $4,400, and we know that 34 to 36 minutes is at least in his range of outcomes, even if it's not a medium projection. There's not many guys on the slate that are going to have a 23 to 24% usage rate and have any chance outside of someone getting hurt of playing 34 minutes tonight.
Yeah, he grades out well for me. As value comes out, he'll look worse and worse, I guess. He's my 16th ranked guy relative to salary today.
Yeah, it's not that I have him as like a phenomenal play. I have no idea how many minutes he's going to play. Yeah. It terrifies me.
Sure.
But I know that I've been higher on Bacon this season than most people anyway. So if I feel this scared about playing him, he's just not going to be owned. And right now there's just not value. So I'm willing to take a chance on, another absolutely terrible Dwayne Bacon performance, when the flip side of that is having a guy who could very easily, if he plays well and gets the minutes, because I do think that his minutes are in part tied to his performance, which is really nice in tournaments, when if you play well, you get more minutes. At low ownership, that's a chance I'm willing to take.
Yeah, he's at 7% on DK and 10 on FanDuel. I'm right there with you. Like that, I'll be over that number by default. What do you want to do with PJ Washington? Because he's basically at like 20% ownership, and he's just not a guy that I get.
I never get there.
That makes me feel a lot better because I don't understand. Like he's like a flat 0 for me. So
yeah, he's not really cheap. He's not in a great matchup. He hasn't been super productive from a DFS standpoint. It's weird to me. I don't really get it. Like he's averaging like what point?
I mean, I have the
0.88.
I have the
0.88 DraftKings points per minute.
0.85 on FanDuel is what I can tell you.
Yeah, so like it's fine, but
yeah, I had it right in front of my face. I didn't even have to look it up.
Forgot
I added that column.
It's fine, and I don't know. I haven't been getting to him all season long.
Okay. 12-6 for Rozier on fantasy draft, I think looks okay. I don't really see anything that is just knocking my socks off for Charlotte, which is exactly how it should be because they're one of the worst teams in basketball.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we have to talk about Devontae Graham after the game he just had.
Yeah.
He should get 30 to 32 minutes. That's what we've been seeing. He plays a bunch of minutes alongside Rozier. It is worth pointing out that in that game where he went nuts, he got 5 minutes of overtime. He also got a few extra minutes in the first quarter because he subbed in for Bacon when Bacon went out with foul trouble. He subbed in early for Bacon again in the third quarter when Bacon just wasn't doing anything and they put Graham back in. But it really looks like it was a situation where he got a couple extra minutes from foul trouble. He got 5 extra minutes from overtime, and it was a hot hand situation. So while I think Graham is fine, he's not over. I think he's pretty correctly priced. I'm not suddenly projecting him for like 36 minutes.
Yeah, I have him in for 30 right now. He's at like 11% ownership, 12% ownership, and that's pretty much exactly where I would like him to be. It's a really bad spot for him too. Kind of. I don't know, what's Celtics defense looking like this year? Jaylen Brown back as well, so another defender on the wing to make life worse. League summary.
Like the rotation against Golden
12th.
State is more what I'm expecting, where he played 30.7 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, you and me both. I have 1 minute to go around still. It certainly could go to him, but I'm just not going to have a ton of anything from Charlotte outside of Bridges on FanDuel, and that's very much positionally. And Boston's probably worse. Kemba, Tatum, Hayward, 20% or more on FanDuel. They are in like the teens on DraftKings. Nobody else is really getting any exposure. They all look terrible to me. Nobody grades out as anything that I want. Am I blind or crazy? Am I missing anything? But I am not particularly interested in the Celtics at all here.
I mean, I think that makes sense because they're a team that just got back a couple of key rotation guys, and they played without them.
Cantor by the way, sorry.
Right, yeah. So Cantor and Brown.
Questionable.
What do you say?
He's questionable, maybe.
Cantor?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's questionable. He went through like practice or shoot around or something before last game, so I'm expecting he plays. But if he's in, obviously that takes value away from Theis. It takes value away from the entire front court. Bringing Brown back, it's not that Jason Tatum is overpriced or that Gordon Hayward is overpriced. It's just that they're like more correctly priced than if Brown is out, and you're just getting additional opportunities in pretty much every category. So whenever you get a team that's played a couple of games without main rotation pieces, when that guy comes back, normally you're going to have a team that's pretty overpriced. Yep. I do think that Jaylen Brown is a solid play at 5,700 though. Barring foul trouble, we've been seeing big minutes out of him.
Yeah, I gave him a little bit less. I only gave him 26 minutes. Whatever sort of like infection he had for a week, I just can't imagine that he's just coming back into full run. This is just me like, guessing, hypothesizing. I haven't seen anything to it. I'd be surprised if he played like upper 30s and not upper 30s in minutes, like low 30s in minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you, but like his normal rotation was 36 minutes, so cutting to 26 is a ton.
Yeah, we'll know more. This is obviously a first shot for it. If we get any word about how, like, I assume we hear if he's limited or not as we move through the day.
The point that I was making, like he's played 3 games. He was in serious foul trouble in 2 of them. So he played 21 and 27 minutes in those, but he was on pace for like 36. He played 38 against Toronto. So I do think that even if you're shaving, like if we don't get an actual minutes limit and it's just like we'll be monitored or you're just not comfortable like project, I still think like 30 to 32 is shaving, 4 to 5 minutes off.
That's reasonable. We're gonna hear something, I'm sure.
Yeah, you would think.
Just for the way that he was out. This isn't just like a bruised elbow or something. They've been pretty hush-hush about like what it was, too.
Kind of weird. Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah. $4,800 Cantor is probably like mildly appealing on this slate.
Yeah, I agree.
Trying to see, like, would you rather have Cantor or Dwayne Bacon today? Obviously, different positions and all.
Probably Cantor.
Okay. Yeah, I'm of this same opinion here. I gave Cantor 24 minutes. I don't really know what else to do with him right now.
Yeah.
It's just not I don't have hot takes for Boston. I certainly don't care that Kemba's making his return to Charlotte. I mean, he should roast Charlotte because he's better than everyone on Charlotte, but that's has nothing to do with where he played before.
Right, yeah, he's a good play because there's one player on the slate more expensive than him, and he's playing Charlotte, and he's Kemba.
What do you think of Jason Tatum? Projected ownership 37% on FanDuel right now, 8K at power forward. That is the same price as LaMarcus Aldridge, $400 cheaper than Bam Adebayo.
I like Tatum. I think I like him more than anyone else on Boston. I like him more, I think, than Aldridge or Bam. Just playing huge minutes, doing everything in this offense. So, yeah, I like Tatum.
I don't care at all what the record of the Hornets are. Check the record, Josh. 4-3 on a 3-game winning streak. They may be better than you think. They're not. They're not better than I think. They'll be bad in the end. I'm very, very confident of it. They have a negative 5.4 point differential. So what 4-3 means is they've been incredibly lucky. So yeah, I'm not super worried about it. Projected for 27 wins. So I'm not super worried about it at all. Here's the power forward pool on FanDuel, or at least that I have. So kind of puts that Jason Tatum ownership in perspective. Bam, Tatum, Aldridge, as I mentioned. PJ Washington, Dario Saric, Frank Kaminsky, JaMychal Green, Trey Lyles. If you want to get to Scal at 39, I think that's probably the other like mildly interesting option. But
right.
Whew,
yeah, it's ugly.
That's how Jason Tatum ends up with 37% ownership.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, and I just cut his rates from the baseline a little bit just because of what he's done this year and Jalen being back. So I still think he's a good play. He's just I don't have him quite as high as I did when you asked me 2 minutes ago.
Gotcha. I don't know. LaMarcus Aldridge is going to be the guy that kills me today, but we're obviously going to get there. Anything else?
I'm just over the Spurs guys.
What else is new? I don't mean that for you. I just mean like in general.
I meant tired of them. Like I haven't been playing them.
Oh, okay. I mean this is a sentiment we've had for Spurs players for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Spurs 109.5 implied total. Thunder 105. We shall start on the Spurs side where 4 guys in 20 or more ownership. Aldridge and DeRozan 30s and 40s. This is for FanDuel. DK, Rudy Gay at 16, Aldridge 38, DeRozan 28. Clearly, LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan are the 2 main cogs for the Spurs. I have Aldridge slightly ahead of DeRozan on FanDuel where he's $100 cheaper. I have Aldridge well ahead of DeRozan where he's still just 6,900, 12.7 on fantasy draft as well. He's been at a point, just over a FanDuel point per minute so far this season. I've got him in for 33 minutes, so I don't even think that my projections are all that out of whack here. I understand why he's getting the ownership, but man, he has not been what you're looking for.
Yeah, even at that DraftKings price tag, it's the same as the other day. You look and it's just like, 6,800, 6,900 for Aldridge. But if you pay attention to what he's actually doing this year, and not just what he has done, but like opportunities that he has had, it's the right price point, I think. And he gets a ton of ownership. So I expect I'll be underweight on Aldridge again today.
38% right now. That does not seem appealing to you, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
For the season, he has a 9.7% rebounding percentage. I have him with a 10% expected rebounding percentage. So basically right where he should be based on rebound chances per 36 and the rate at which he grabs them. I think that, like, my theory with San Antonio is that DeJounte Murray is just really cutting into Aldridge and DeRozan because he's cutting down DeRozan's potential assists. He's cutting down rebounds for Aldridge because he's a really good rebounder and he's getting a lot of them. And then Aldridge's usage has also taken a hit, whereas DeRozan is more or less in line with where he was last year. Aldridge this year is down to 22.9%. So, it's not that at some point it doesn't turn around, but I just don't see any signs right now that Aldridge is like getting unlucky or should be producing better than he is.
Yeah. Offensive rebounding rate down from 9.8 to 7.6. Defensive rebounding rate down from 17.7 to 12.6 from last year. Usage rate cut. Not great.
And it's another situation where, like, if everyone were of the same mindset as me and they were saying like, whoa, 6,900 for Aldridge, like I'm not paying that, I would be like, okay, it's LaMarcus Aldridge. He has just based on talent, he has a lot of upside at that salary, but that edge isn't there when the field is going, oh my God, 6,900 LaMarcus Aldridge. That's the cheapest he's been in 2 years. Like, I have to play him.
Yeah.
I would rather just in a situation where a player is not getting the opportunities that they have in the past and it's leading them to be less productive. If the field is not adjusting to that, I'll take that. If they are adjusting to that, in the case of like Nikola Jokic, for example, then at low ownership, I'm willing to just be like, okay, they're really good. At some point between now and the end of the season, they're probably going to start being really good again.
Last year and the year before, 52% effective field goal percentage. This season, 46. You have to assume that number just naturally comes up.
Yeah.
Not that he has to be that, but that's a pretty big drop off for a guy that doesn't normally have that problem. These rates aren't massively different, but I do want to point them out. He's taking 3% less shots at the rim. He's taking 11% less shots in the short mid-range and has basically transitioned them all to long mid-range shots. So he's basically just taking worse shots.
Right.
So
I thought you were going to say the threes, and I was going to be like, okay, it's an adjustment, but he'll end up being better. And the Spurs will be better. But no.
He has been taking more above the break threes. 8% of his shot attempts have come from non-corner. So there is that. That is a jump, but it's still 9 shots out of 106. So I can't really take those extremes. But yeah, he's shooting a little bit deeper, and he's getting a little bit older now. That shot's a little bit harder to get off. He won't finish at 46% effective field goal. He'll probably finish at like 50, which is down from last year. But he's just getting older. 34 years old now. Been around a while. Got a lot of miles on him. Feels like Portland was like a lifetime ago.
I feel like Aldridge was playing when I was like in high school. I don't think he will. I think he came out when I was in college.
06, 07.
Oh, then yeah, he was playing when I was in high school.
Straight out of Tejas. DeRozan, just kind of a part of the slate, and you'll have him.
Yep. DeRozan, I feel, when you consider that he's $600 more expensive than Aldridge, I feel exactly the same about DeRozan as I do about Aldridge. Like, he's correctly priced. DeRozan, I think, was like 6% owned last slate or something. He seems like the guy that everyone's down on, and I understand why. But if we're going to get tons of ownership on Aldridge and people aren't going to roster DeRozan, I would just rather have DeRozan.
Okay. Yeah, 38 to 28 in ownership on DraftKings right now.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else you want from the Spurs? Because I don't see anything as terribly appealing. I like DeJounte Murray. He's averaging 1.5 FanDuel points per minute, but if he's only playing 24 minutes, that makes it really difficult.
On most slates, it does. I'm not sure that it does today because he only has 9% ownership on DraftKings. He's only 6,300. There's no real opportunity cost. Like, there's just not plays on the slate where you're just like, oh, but if you roster Murray, you can't get to this guy that you really have to have. This is a slate where I think ownership to me is a little bit more, I don't know if more important is the right word, but will factor in more than on some other slates, just because I don't think, at least right now, that you have a lot of clearly just underpriced guys. So I'm more willing to take a chance on 24 minutes from a guy like Murray that we know can produce at a really, really high clip.
Yeah.
He contributes everything across the board. So, it's not a high probability play, and it's very sensitive to ownership for me. But I think that at 9%, he is the kind of guy that does at least have the ability to win you a tournament.
Are you a big gay guy today?
I'd forgotten about that.
It's the first time I've been able to bust that one out.
Yeah. Neutral play for me.
Okay. 26% owned on FanDuel at 5K. Also 5K on DraftKings, 16% owned. Look, I went over it before, but small forward and power forward are kind of empty today. Would you rather have Miles Bridges or Rudy Gay today on FanDuel? 5,300 for Bridges, 5K for Gay.
Bridges.
Same. Kind of comparable ownership too, so I don't think they should be, but good to know. Yeah, this is just not a Spurs team. It's a lot of the same dude, sort of.
Yeah, Derek White's questionable. If he sits, I think Patty Mills becomes one of the better values.
I would agree with that.
Potentially. The problem is you still have Lonnie Walker that could just soak up a bunch of minutes.
Or anybody,
but
honestly.
Yeah, that's true. But it's also not like Mills is expensive. Like at 3,700, there's a path even if White plays that Mills is a competent value. So if White sits, I'd be pretty comfortable going to Mills and just hoping for the best.
I normally don't point out things that Dave says in Slack or YouTube chat or anywhere at all, but
or at least not in a positive manner.
Right. Never when they're positive. But I'm with him. 600 viewers for the morning show. I'm impressed, fellas. I'm impressed too. I think that you guys should hit that like button. It would be the perfect opportunity to do so. Move to Oklahoma City. Jay Gilgeous-Alexander, 8,200 on FanDuel, 7,100 on DK. He's 13K on Fantasy Draft and $30 on Yahoo. Right around 20% ownership, as is Chris Paul, as is Danilo Gallinari. Dennis Schroeder is around 10 to 15%. Steven Adams around 10. For me, Shea on DK is by far the best option of anything in this game. How you feel about Shea?
I always like Shea, especially on slates like this, where again, there's just not that much opportunity cost. The scary thing with him is that he doesn't consistently produce peripherals. We have a bunch of games where he's grabbed 7-8 rebounds, which is great, but you can't count on that from him consistently. He's the highest usage player on the team. He's getting to the basket. He's shooting reasonably well from three. As a scorer, he's been really good, and he's still cheap enough where I think that's valuable, as is the 36 minutes he plays. It's just that, and someone asked this in our office hours in Slack the other day, if I factor in, like if I end up heavily preferring guys that provide peripherals to ones that don't. And my answer was no, because that's factored into projections and it's factored into the likelihood that I give them of reaching a target score. But it does make it so that their floor is just lower. Like, you're going to get games this season from Gilgeous-Alexander where he just absolutely tanks your team because he shoots poorly and he doesn't contribute anything else. Whereas when you talk about like a Malcolm Brogdon, if he shoots poorly, he's still picking up 12 assists.
That's a really good point. He's been great this year. 7 games. He's increased his usage rate from last year from 20% to 26%. But he's scoring 1.14 points per shot attempt, which is an increase over last year. So he's taking on much more of the burden while also still being equally as efficient. 3% increase in his effective field goal percentage. Gets to the rim at will. Can't shoot all that well from deep, but
yeah, I think he's like 41% from three this year.
Is he really?
Yeah.
41% from three, yeah. Limited attempts. He's not a volume guy.
Yeah, he's attacking the basket.
Yeah. 15%, or he's in the 15th percentile of wings in terms of 3-point attempts. So just enough. If he can maintain that sort of rate though and keep people honest, that'll be really nice to see. He is my second ranked. Go ahead.
Okay. He had been among the leaders. Yeah, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 8th in the NBA, 17.1 drives per game. Yeah. Second with 9 field goal attempts on those drives.
84th percentile shots at the rim, 93rd in the short mid-range. Makes up 69% of his shot attempts.
Nice.
Exactly. He's my number 2 guy on DraftKings today relative to salary. I don't mind that at all, especially at a relatively pedestrian 24% exposure. I'll take it. Chris Paul, 6,500 on DraftKings. We dusting that old man off today?
He's been so bad. But
you know
at
what's
the same
really
time,
crazy?
like,
1 fantasy point per minute. Not too far behind Gilgeous-Alexander.
well, he's been playing better. He started off the season just awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're seeing him play better. He's still cheap. I think he's fine. Like, I still prefer Gilgeous-Alexander. They're close enough in price, but it's not like I think that there's really anything wrong with Chris Paul.
Here's the most interesting piece of it all. Usage rate down 2% from last year, from 27 to 25. It's been trending down, which is as expected. He's 34 and a half years old. 38% use or assist rate last year, 38 the year before that, 25 this season. That blows my mind. Where are his assists going?
Schroeder.
That seems weird, right?
He's still not on the Clippers. I'll stop doing that at some point. I was trying to look at my expected. Well, I've been doing it with Gilgeous-Alexander all season.
Oh, I thought you were doing Paul. I was like, dude, it's been a couple of years.
Well, no,
now.
I was, but like we just talked about Gilgeous-Alexander, and then we were talking about Paul, and so I just like immediately scrolled to the Clippers and was like, Lou Williams. Yes, I mean I do have Paul with a 28.3% expected assist percentage based on his potential assists per 36. So I think he has been at least running a little bit bad in the assist department.
Okay. His effective field goal percentage looks really good. He does not get to the rim at all. 2nd percentile in point guards.
He stopped that second half of last year. I think.
No, he stopped that 5 years ago.
Okay,
here are his percentiles: 2nd, 1st, 6th, 0. Which I don't know how to say that. Yeah, he just doesn't get to the rim.
Okay, because I'd seen a tweet from someone like comparing his first half of last year to his second half, and then it had dropped off like big time.
Yeah, he used to be in the 20s. Now he gets there like 10% of the time. So the old man's just not getting to the hoop. 28% of his shots in the short mid-range, 21% in the long mid. I think he's going to be fine, and I think he's perfectly reasonable to get to today at 6,500. Gallo, Adams, Schroeder, anything here from Oklahoma City?
I think Adams is interesting. He's just really cheap. He's 5,400. He's, obviously a really good rebounder. His rebounds should go up a bit this year without Westbrook. So I think he's just underpriced.
Let's see where I have him. I can't imagine he has power forward eligibility, so I'm just typing center here. He would be he is not even remotely close for me. I'm gonna throw some names off of you. You tell me who you like more. Would you rather have him or Cantor?
Adams.
Ooh, okay. I have Cantor. So this is probably gonna end really quickly. Cody Zeller, Steven Adams, separated by $200.
Ownership.
30 to 8.
Whoever's lower owned.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Adams is 8. Zeller 30.
Yeah. Give me Adams every time.
Aaron Baines, 5,800 to 5,400.
I think that one's close.
Baines has less ownership.
Yeah, then probably Baines.
I have every guy that we just named. I have like dramatically lower. We're also probably not projecting Cantor in. We have him at 0 ownership, so that is going to redistribute, I would imagine, as well, because he'll be owned something on a 4-gamer at 4,800.
19.4% rebound percentage for Adams this year. I have him at 20.9% expected. So, really good rebounding numbers so far.
Had to happen eventually. Shout out to Russell Westbrook, I guess. Let me look at it now. I mean,
yeah, actually, as I'm putting in the rates that I have for Adams, I think he's probably one of my higher own guys.
Dude, this is
definitely one of my bigger stands if his ownership holds.
This is fantastic. So last 3 seasons, 90 plus percentile in offensive rebounding rate. Makes perfect sense to me, given the makeup of that team. In 2017-18, he was 11th percentile in defensive rebounding. It was 22nd last year. It's 83rd now. I wonder what happened.
Right.
What changed?
And our Clint Capella is going the exact opposite direction.
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's take a look. No, didn't move at all. Didn't move at all. But I mean, that is a very clear testament to what was happening previously. I just don't think Russ is like asserting himself on a new team like that where
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
They're probably just like, yeah, fuck off, man.
Right. Yeah. You have like that Harden Capella relationship, and then Westbrook just comes in like, yo, I want rebounds.
Like, sorry, dude. Not happening. But yeah, you have to project Steven Adams differently for a defensive rebounding rate, or you're doing.
You're also getting staggered minutes for Westbrook. So
true. Actually, I probably need to just listen to what we're talking about right now and change Steven Adams' rebounding rate, unless I've already done that, which I might have already done that. Steven Adams, I've already done that. So cool.
Spurs are allowing the 11th. They're tied for the 10th with Charlotte for putback attempts per game. Nope, that's their offense. They are allowing the fourth fewest offense or opponent putback attempts per game.
They are. I have that in front of me as well. It's on the screen too. San Antonio's fourth. So I'm liking Steven Adams more than I was before. How many minutes do you have him playing?
30.
Okay, I put him in for 28 right now. I could easily.
He's been one of those guys that so obviously he missed games so he hasn't played as many this year, but he's just been one of those guys where it's like every game something has happened where he doesn't get the minutes that he clearly was on pace to play.
Bring that table over here. No reason why I shouldn't use that extra space. Bingo. Yeah, so
last game he played 26, but again that was his first game back. I'm assuming that was by design.
Yeah, so far 26, 27, 25, 29, 28.
Yeah, I think in a lot of those other ones it was injuries and foul trouble and blowouts.
Okay. Well,
and it's also just the situation where, like, on top of, I'm pretty sure that being the case, I don't think Steven Adams is averaging like 28 minutes a game this year.
It wouldn't shock me at this point.
I mean, I guess Noel is competent, but I still think 30 to 32 is more realistic.
Okay. I'm anxious to see if he's just on the Thunder at the end of this season.
Also fair.
Alrighty, guys. Hitting a little bit of a lull. I didn't mean to punch the microphone there. Hope that didn't sound awful. I'm going to give a couple plugs and stuff. First of all, hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. There's a little button. Oh, damn, I'm pointing the wrong direction. Down in that bottom corner. Click on that. That way you can subscribe. Josh looking good in blue. Couldn't agree more. Free content for today. Lineup Builder Lite, free for the NBA today. NFL Showdown ownership percentages, NHL ownership percentages. Go check that stuff out. Coming up after this, 11 a.m., Laffy and Sal talking a little NFL strategy. At 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you get the boss man, Alex Baker, and Ben Rasa talking some showdown strategy for tonight's Raiders-Chargers game. You'll have Jake doing NHL at 4. You'll have Alex behind the paywall doing his game plan stream. That was free yesterday, so people got to check it out. If you liked what you had to see there, and there were like over 1,000 of you for it, use that promo code NBA Strategy. Get 50% off and come watch it again today, because we are back behind the paywall. Live Before Lock and Deeper Dive are both pushed back an hour tonight, 8 p.m. lock. So we don't have the normal 7 o'clock time. So Deeper Dive will be starting at 6. Live Before Lock will be starting at 7. You guys know the duo for the Deeper Dive. Adam will be back with Laffy. Live Before Lock tonight. Chris Spags, Fast Eddie Fear, taking you all the way up. The lineups are shut down. A lot. Phoenix Suns. Miami Heat. 110.25 implied total for the Suns. 108.75 for the Heat. We'll start on the Phoenix side. 3 guys with really big ownership projections. Booker, Rubio, Oubre, all around 30, maybe a little bit lower on DK. Dario Saric, just shy of 20 on both sites. Who's the guy that stands out most to you from Phoenix?
Probably Baines.
Interesting. I named 4 dudes. Wasn't one of them.
Well, your question was who stands out the most for you from Phoenix?
Yeah, I know. That's great. That's fantastic. Nobody's like, he's not getting any ownership. That makes for like a really good talking point.
No, okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're on the same side here. Maybe I just said shit wrong. Talk to me about Baines.
just in non-foul trouble games, he's playing 30, 32 minutes, pace-up spot for Phoenix. Should be a lot of rebounding opportunities here. Yeah, I don't know. As a whole, Phoenix looks good to me. So, but I think when you consider that he's unowned, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. 1% on FanDuel, 4 on DraftKings.
Seems low.
Seems low. Yeah. Would you rather have him or Cody Zeller?
At the ownership, Baines.
Not at the ownership, Zeller?
Really, really close.
Okay.
Like Zeller, I really just don't know what to make of his minutes.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
If I project
17,
Zeller
it's
for
32.
right, if I project Zeller for the 32 to 34 that I thought he was going to play consistently, then it's Zeller. But he's just played 20 and 17 minutes in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
For no reason other than the Hornets were like, yeah, we're going to play PJ Washington at the 5, or we're going to play Bismack Biyombo at the 5. By the way, PJ Washington listed as questionable. If he's out, that's got to help solidify Zeller's minutes, I would think.
You would think. I hope he's out. Well, actually, no, I don't, because I know that I won't have him, so I want people to roster him.
Right.
That's a tricky spot. Yeah, if Baines is really going to get 4% ownership and some of the guys around him are going to get 30. Like if Zeller's going to have 31 and Baines is at 4, this is a really easy decision in GPP.
Agreed.
If Baines is at 4 and PJ Washington is at 19, I think this is a really easy decision.
Yep. And so like I know that everyone talks about it, but it's, the ownership of this guy versus the ownership of that guy. I think there's a big difference between, and it's the case here with Zeller, there's a big difference between, well, this guy projects better than, player A projects better than player B. Player A is way higher owned. But player B, has the same upside. That's fine and everything. But I think where it's a really big edge if you do it consistently is when there's actual minutes volatility. Like,
yeah.
We have no idea how many minutes Cody Zeller plays. We know that, based on previous rotations, barring foul trouble, Baines is getting his 30 to 32. It's happened every game he hasn't been in foul trouble. So when you can add in on top of just all the variance that there is in a basketball game, the fact that the Hornets could just not play Zeller that many minutes, those are the guys that I really like being underweight on. When there's, on top of just production volatility, there's a lot of volatility in the minutes.
That's a really good point. We don't probably talk about minute volatility enough, and it's incredibly relevant. All right, so
I think.
Go ahead.
Especially with how projectable basketball is. If every player you're talking about has, barring foul trouble and stuff, has like a 2-minute range of minutes that they're going to land in, then it's really, really easy to just compare guys and whatever. But when there are some guys that, depending on game flow, depending on other things, their range is, from 20 to 32. Those are the guys that when the field's there, it's just, I'd rather not be.
We got a message in YouTube chat. Baines is too cheap on Yahoo to not play. Yeah, he's $15 on Yahoo. That's a very, very, very nice price tag.
Yep.
Let's talk through Booker, Rubio, and Oubre. These are guys all, in the high 20s, low 30s area for ownership. I would say that Oubre is my clear favorite. Rubio is a clear second, and Booker would be third, which makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Booker's usage hasn't been there this year. He's at 27.8%. Last year he was at 33. I can only assume the combination of Rubio and Oubre is just kind of eating into that. And then on top of that, fewer assists, which makes all the sense in the world playing with Rubio. If you go back and look to when Booker was playing with Bledsoe, granted it was at an earlier stage in Booker's career, but his assists were way down from where they were like last season. So it's never a good feeling to not have a lot of Booker, because his average usage rate doesn't mean anything if his shot's going in. Like, he's going to have games where he just chucks.
Yeah.
But I think that at least with the way this offense is going right now, his median projections at least should be lower than they were last season. Like, his rates aren't the same as they were last year.
He has become hyper efficient, however. While the usage is down from 34 to 28, you're seeing the subsequent boost in points per shot attempt. Went from 117 last year to 131, or 1.17 to 1.31. That's a really big like That's a big time jump, which is exactly what you should expect in these situations.
Right.
What do you think? What percentile do you think Devin Booker is in 3-point attempts for wings?
3-point attempts?
Yes.
Is this compared to like other guards?
He is labeled as a wing on Cleaning the Glass.
Okay. I actually have no idea.
I think this will surprise you, even though you have no idea. 18th.
Oh wow, yeah, I would have gone the other.
Right, like I would have assumed that he shot a ton of threes. 36% of his shots at the rim this season. That is 9% higher than last year's 27% number. He is 71st percentile in shots at the rim. So he has changed his game up dramatically. He's shooting significantly less shots in the mid-range, particularly in the short mid-range. So he has traded in less efficient shots for more efficient shots. But I would have really expected this dude to be shooting like way more threes. 28% of his shot attempts are from three.
Yeah, he only has one game this season with double-digit 3-point attempts.
You know he's shooting from three this year?
It's really bad. I could tell that by looking at his. No.
He's
I know he shot
51% from three.
Oh yeah, the recent. Yeah, so the recent games: 6 for 10, 3 for 3, 3 for 4. The ones at the beginning of the season, I had looked at 1 for 8, 1 for 3, 3 for 6, 2 for 4.
He is 16 of 28 from above the break. Yo, homie, shoot more threes. What more do you need to see? Wow. It's a very different Devin Booker. So rank them. Booker, Rubio, Oubre. What's your preference?
I think Oubre. Whoa, that's not right. Sorry. So I think I would go Booker, Oubre, Rubio, just because Booker has the potential at least to, take a ton of shots.
Yeah.
And I think that median projection wise, they're all pretty similar.
Yeah, I have Booker quite a bit higher than the other two in terms of projection, which obviously, but I do agree. I agree with what you're saying for median projection. I don't get the sense that I'm going to get a lot of Booker here. Oubre just really stands out for me.
Yeah, I'm finishing up adjusting rates on them, but that's where it was baseline wise, at least.
Do you have anything else you want to add for Phoenix, or do you want to move on to Miami?
I think that's it. Kaminsky. Yeah, Kaminsky was back to 20 minutes last game in his backup center role behind Baines.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Okay. On to the Miami side, where everybody appears to be back, whether they were ushered away from the team for a bit, or too fat to run, or just hurt. All those dudes seem to be, at the minimum, back with the team. Jimmy Butler is $9,300 on FanDuel. Not a really appealing price. $2,100 cheaper on DraftKings, however. $13,800 on Fantasy Draft. Only 33% owned. I think that Jimmy Butler might be going a little underrepresented at that price.
Yeah, Miami's salaries have started to come back down now that you have Winslow and Butler back. So yeah, I agree that his price tag's not bad.
Yeah, that's to be $2,100 cheaper than he is on FanDuel is a pretty big jump. So Butler on DraftKings at the very least, very much so my most interesting player. I don't really have a ton of interest in the Miami side on FanDuel. I think Justice Winslow for $5,200 on DraftKings also looks pretty good. You could talk me into some Dragic. You could talk me into some Bam Adebayo. But Bam is at 28% ownership on DK, and I feel like that number is just a bit too high.
I'm fine with it. 7K is really cheap.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's affected as much as, the wing guys by everyone being healthy.
So would you rather have LaMarcus Aldridge or Bam Adebayo today?
Bam.
Okay. Whiteside or Bam?
Probably Bam.
Montrezl Harrell or Bam?
I think it's going to be really close. Probably Harrell.
Okay. I think we're on a little
Actually, probably Bam. Bam just plays more minutes.
Okay. Who's your favorite Heat player? Apparently Bam?
Bam.
Emerald Lagasse over here. Jesus. Yeah, the FanDuel prices are just tough. Like 9,300 for Butler on this slate, with Shea at 8,200, Lou Will at 67, CJ McCollum, however you feel, 64. It's a really tough time to be paying up for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Did you notice? So the Miami rotation last game was pretty weird, but the thing that really stood out as weird to me was Tyler Hero became just the pure backup to Kendrick Nunn.
I have Nunn at 26 and Tyler Hero at 22.
No, like Tyler Hero played 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, he did not. He did not
Ooh.
step on the floor with Kendrick Nunn, and Kendrick Nunn played 33 minutes.
Oh. Well, so yes, I did. I don't expect that extreme of a split.
Okay.
But yes, I do have them at 48 total minutes.
Okay, got you. Now I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going 30-18. Like Nunn, both games that Winslow and Butler have played, Nunn's played 32 minutes. The only reason that I'm hesitant is because
say that again. Both games that Winslow and Butler played.
Nunn played like 30 and 32
Yeah,
or 32
I was gonna say he
apiece.
played 30 in the.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the only reason I'm like kind of hesitant on it is because if Hero's purely the backup, that makes it weird, but
Yeah, I'm gonna give.
I don't really know what else to
I'm
do.
gonna take two of those minutes that I have here away and give them back to Nunn, get Nunn to 28 and 20. I think that's probably a little bit more feasible. I really just don't know what they're going to do and how deep they're going to go.
Right.
I've got 11 guys projected in right now, but they could shave that and make it 10. They could very easily make it 9, honestly.
They played 10 last game outside of garbage time.
Yeah, James Johnson and Chris Silva both got 6. I feel like they're going to want to continue to give James Johnson some sort of run. Chris Silva a little bit less so.
Yeah, you would think, but over who?
Great question. Depends how he looks, I guess, right? I mean, in a perfect world, you'd rather give James Johnson minutes over, say, Kelly Olynyk, just from like a switchability perspective. It probably makes the team better, but we'll see how. I assume he's ready to go and in good condition now because the Heat are crazy about it. And if he wasn't before and he is now.
Right. Dion Waiters, meanwhile, is still in the doghouse.
Yeah, he's not going to see the floor for a while. Alrighty. I don't. So speaking of Nunn, no matter those minutes, do you have any interest? Is he just too expensive now with so many people back?
5,200 on DraftKings. I have some interest.
Okay.
He still gets his shots. He doesn't do a whole lot else, but not a ton of value today. At least I have a guy that is willing to shoot.
I think I'm breathing really heavily. Thank God I have like a noise gate on my microphone. I feel like I'd sound real weird right now. I don't know why. I haven't done anything other than sit in this seat for 4.5 hours. God, it's sad. All right, anything else from this game?
Already?
I woke up at 5:15.
No, I think that's it.
To be fair, I was also in bed at 9:15.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Got to keep the machine running each morning. LA Clippers, Portland Trailblazers, late night hammer. 115.5 implied total for the Clips, 110 for the Blazers. No load management on Kawhi tonight. We'll start on the Clippers. 10-8 for Kawhi on FanDuel, 9,600 on DK, 17.5 on Fantasy Draft, which I think is pretty clearly the best price across the board. 2% owned on FanDuel and 3% owned on DraftKings. I'm not particularly fond of him today, but if he's 2% owned or 3% owned and that holds, I'll become fond of him.
I'll be fond of him if he's 40%.
Oh, talk to me about it.
You're talking about Kawhi, right?
Yes, Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. 38% usage. Lofty actually tweeted out a good stat earlier today. He said that, where'd it go? Kawhi this season is 5th in pick and roll ball handler possessions, and he's 6th in pick and roll scoring. That's twice as many possessions and points in the pick and roll as last season, 3 times as many as in 2017. And we had talked about it before, where until Paul George comes back, this is just entirely different than anywhere Kawhi has been. Like, he is the offense.
I need to change his shit. I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, his usage is through the roof.
42.7 on cleaning the glass right now with a 35% assist rate.
Right. He's the entire offense. He's doing everything. It's a guy that I have always hated rostering in DFS because he never did what he's doing now. Now he's doing it, and he's underpriced, and I'm just playing tons of him every day.
Yeah, I'm jacking up the usage rate. I'm going to jack up the assist rate. Have to.
Yeah, I think Lofty and I did a show the other day where we were talking about it. And I think at the time his usage rate was like 37.5%. And we were saying that one, that was completely feasible with George out. But two, even if it came down, there was still meat on the bone at the salary. And then like I'm watching the game and I messaged Lofty and I was just like, I think 37.5 might actually be low until George comes back.
Yeah. Those numbers are pretty staggering. He's not even like inefficient.
Right.
He increased his from last year. He's increased his usage rate from 30.5 to 42.7. He's seen a drop in his points per shot attempt from 1.22 to 1.15. That's not that's not the same sort of drop as the increase in his usage. That is a fantastic change. His steal rate is up. His block rate is up, both in the 90th percentile or higher. He's getting more offensive rebounds, 92nd percentile. He's getting more defensive rebounds, 95th percentile. He's literally doing every single category on the floor better than he ever has before.
And oh, by the way, he's played 34 minutes in each of his last two games.
Homie is dirty. So that ownership has to come up, right?
Yeah. No chance that he's low owned. If I give him 32 minutes on DraftKings, I have him at 57 DraftKings points, which I haven't tweaked everything that I'm going to tweak, but right now that would put him like 10 points ahead of everyone else I have on the slate.
Yeah, let me just change this assist rate, 9.1. Oh god, yeah, that should be fine. Where does he land now? Yep, there he is. I had increased them, just not like
right,
not nearly as much as it needed to be. Yeah, he is now my second best play of the slate, still behind Whiteside. Obviously not from like a raw points perspective here.
Sure.
And I'll probably be taking a look at Whiteside once we get there. Wow, dude, Kawhi is dirty. He is so damn good. What's the plus minus? Yeah, he's plus 30.
Seems decent.
Last year was 4. Oh my god. They score 12 more points per possession on offense when he is on the floor. They give up 18 more per 100 possessions when he is off. What a sissy for sitting out yesterday, though. Oh my god. He's so good. He's so good. He's the best player in the world. I don't even think it's close now. Shout out Kawhi. Whew. All right, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams. What do you do with these guys when Kawhi is in?
I still play them. I just project a couple minutes less. And for the season, Lou Will has a 30% usage rate. Without Kawhi, it's like 35%. For the season, Harrell has a 24% usage rate. Without Kawhi, it's 31%. So I still play these guys. They're still really cheap, and they still have tons of upside at their salary and project really well. It's just that they don't project as well as they would if Kawhi was out.
Right.
I don't think it really gets messy with them until Paul George comes back too. Then, assuming Kawhi and George are staggered, you're going to have one of them on the floor with Lou Williams all the time. That's going to take some usage from Williams. It's going to cut back on the pick and roll between Williams and Harrell. That's when it's going to start getting messy and then kind of hard to figure out. But for right now, I still don't think it's that tough.
Okay. Alrighty. Who do you prefer, Montrezl Harrell or Lou Will? They're separated by $400 on DK. They're separated by $200 on FanDuel, but the opposite direction.
I have them as like the exact same value. I have Lou Will projected for about 1.5 DraftKings points more than Harrell.
I've got it by 1.1, so we are in the same setup.
And to go back, I have Harrell and Bam almost identical.
Okay. Anybody else from the Clippers? Pat Bev, JaMychal Green.
I'm always fine with playing some Pat Bev at cheap ownership. He's normally not owned. The minutes will be there. He can pick up, defensive stats, and it's just he's one of those. He's the type of guy that I do like to roster at cheap salaries because he contributes in a variety of ways. And if he just happens to have a good shooting night or a night where he shoots more than usual, it doesn't take a whole lot for him to be a really good option. So it's not someone that like I'm building my night around, but I do like value guys like that.
Gotcha. Jaylen Brown does not expect to have a minutes limit if he plays today.
Good.
So put that to bed. Let's move to Portland. Dame Lillard, Hassan Whiteside, CJ McCollum, all in the mid to high 20s in ownership. Rodney Hood getting a little bit of love here as well. I've been eschewing the virtues of Hassan Whiteside so far, but I'll throw it to you. Who is your favorite Portland Trailblazer tonight?
Dame Lillard.
9,100 on DraftKings, 10-3 on FanDuel. Let's take a look at what's around Lillard. Would you rather have Dame Lillard or Kemba Walker?
Dame.
Dame Lillard or Devin Booker?
Dame.
I agree.
He's averaging 38 minutes a game. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he's crazy. Great. And I trust that to continue because
right.
He plays 36 minutes no matter what.
Right. Yeah, I think there's very few guys that I'm willing to, when I'm projecting minutes, to go over 36. And if I do it on anyone, I do try and pay attention to what it's doing to my overall exposures. I don't want to get a guy just because I'm giving him 38 minutes instead of 37 or 36.
Right.
But with Dame, I think it's a perfectly fine projection. He can play more than 38 minutes. He generally isn't going to play less unless the game blows out. He's played 7 games now this year, and he's averaged 37.7 minutes.
He's nasty. I love that dude. I can just not stop picturing him hitting that buzzer beater.
Yeah.
It's
against OKC.
Yeah, it's just in my head now. I'm guessing that CJ McCollum is just a thing that you will have today, but you have no opinion on it because that's pretty much how I feel about CJ McCollum constantly.
That is exactly how I feel about him all the time.
Okay. So I'm going to throw it to you right now. Talk to me about Hassan Whiteside. Am I crazy for loving him today?
No, I'm there with you. Through 6 games, he has a 20.6% usage rate. He has a 22.2% rebounding percentage. I'm double checking, but I think I have his expected rebound percentage even higher than that. I have him at so basically in line. I have him at 22.6%.
Okay.
So that's obviously good. The only concern is the minutes. He's played 26 minutes in most games this year. Played 28 against Golden State. Still didn't close that game, sat out the last few minutes, but I have him at 28 minutes here. I think that, you could see more going forward. So even though we haven't seen it yet, I'm okay with going 28 on Whiteside. But even at 26, I think that he would be a good play.
Yeah. I have him in for 26 right now. Still like him quite a bit at 6,400. You mentioned his rates. Effective field goal percentage, which I think is the most interesting piece of this. 55, 54, 57 in the previous 3 seasons with Miami. 66 so far this year. A lot of that I can only imagine has to do with Dame Lillard, but that should be helpful. Taking a little bit more shots at the rim, which is great. Not shooting threes, which is unsurprising. Rebounding rates have always been fantastic for him. Blocking less shots, getting less steals. Kind of surprises me given the way Terry Stotts has his defensive setup. Bigs usually drop back. I would expect him to be blocking more shots, so I don't know what the case is there, other than maybe they've just really talked him into not leaving his feet every single time that there's a shot to be blocked. He's a guy where I would expect it to be better for him, even though the rate is lower, just because he gambles for blocks as much as just about anybody in the league. So if you can harness that a little bit, while he may not be blocking as many shots, that's probably I'm hoping that that's better for the team defensively. I don't know. I'm guessing here. Grasping at straws. Do you want any of the rest of these Blazers? Rodney Hood is the only one getting any actual ownership.
Yeah, just because it's the 4-game slate, Hood should get the minutes. Who knows if his shot's falling or not? Obviously not something we can predict. Mario Hezonja, played 26 minutes last game. He closed. He closed over Whiteside. I don't feel strongly about any of them, but they should at least get the opportunity to produce.
Okay. Yeah, I don't feel strongly about any of them. I mean, Hood more than the rest of them, but that's probably it.
Yeah. It's worth noting that we did not see the 48-minute split between Whiteside and Scal. If you were to project
Tolliver.
Scal for 20, what did you say?
Tolliver got some.
No, it was.
They might just be cleaning the glass. They allocated Tolliver to the 5 spot.
The closing lineup was Dame, McCollum, Hood, Bazemore / Simons, Hazonia.
Oh, okay.
So they closed small against Golden State, which obviously they could do against the Clippers too.
And obviously that one doesn't count. Warriors aren't a real team, man.
Yeah, well, they lost, so.
That's why you don't project blowouts.
Yeah. But so I mean, just pointing that out, because if we went like 28 Whiteside, 20 Scal, then Scal would come up as actually a pretty decent play.
Yeah.
But I don't feel comfortable that he's playing 20 minutes.
No, I give him 18.
Yeah, it seems right.
I'm gonna have a lot of Whiteside for sure. I like CJ McCollum for 6,400 on FanDuel.
What'd you say?
I like CJ McCollum for 6,400 on FanDuel.
Yeah,
especially because you're not paying.
I think it's a good price tag.
Yeah.
It's the problem is he's just like dependent on Dame.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been staggering the minutes again this year.
Right.
Cantor and Brown both went through shoot around.
Sweet. Good to know.
Or it says will participate in shoot around, so I guess are going to go through shoot around.
All right, let's sum it up. Favorite plays on DK tonight? Go.
Kawhi.
Yeah.
Whiteside. Let's see. So the Clippers: Kawhi, Trez, Lillard, Lou Will, Bam, Adams, Whiteside.
Okay. SGA.
I really like that Clippers game.
SGA in there for me.
Yeah, he's Butler and SGA are like the next two once I had stopped naming people.
Mine goes Kawhi, SGA, Butler, CJ McCollum, which I guess I need to look into. Miles Bridges, Hassan Whiteside. Better slate than I thought it was. It's just a lot of the mid tier, like 6 to 8K range. And
it's
hard.
I think it's a fun slate in terms of it's different than what we've been getting.
Yeah.
And yeah, slates like this I think are just, like I said earlier, it's not that I'm like weighting ownership more. I just think that naturally I'm gonna get lineups that are a little bit more contrarian than normal, because there's just, when you get these mid-range guys, there's not a huge difference in their range of outcomes. Whereas when you get, it's a slate where you're just going stars and scrubs, there's a huge range of outcomes between a lot, a good $3,200 guy and a bad $3,200 guy.
That's a really good point. Guys, that is it for us. Check out Laffy and Sal coming up immediately after this at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, talking some NFL. Thank you to the 750 people that were here hanging out with us. If you're still here now, don't be afraid to hit that like button. It would help us out tremendously. I went through the schedule a little bit earlier. We're going to have content all throughout the day. So best of luck tonight. We will talk to you again later. Thanks, Yahoo.